the Yankees fan base is the worst fan base for stuff like that to happen to, because they become like tinfoil hat conspiracy theorists. And it's just like, no, you all have to, everyone needs to calm down.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm one of your hosts, Stacey Gotsoulias. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. With me as usual is my co-host, Brian McKeon. Brian.
Again, to repeat, I feel like we could just do this first segment for every show the last 3 days. They don't lose to the Twins. It's remarkable.
It's remarkable is the best word for that. It really is. It's just, Jack Curry on the, I think it was Bob Lorenz on the post-game show on Yes was just like, how do these guys, like, what does Rocco Baldelli do? Like,
how do you get him up for these games?
Like, how do you get him up for these games? Because, like, no matter what, they're going to, it's just, it's unbelievable.
The last time the Yankees went 6-0 against the Twins in the regular season was 2009. And then they went 9-0 that year against them, sweeping them in the ALDS.
Yeah, that was, I was at game 1 of that ALDS. Before we get started, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on whichever podcasting platform you prefer. Subscribe to our channel. We passed 6,400 this morning, so I'm very excited about that. Yes. Like our videos, hit the bell so you're notified when our videos go live. Coming up on today's show, if we have time, we're going to talk about the Dodgers coming to Yankee Stadium, but we have a jam-packed show. It got a little more jam-packed with what happened tonight during the game. It's Fanmail Friday, as you know, so we'll be answering your questions. But first, Juan Soto leaves the game, and Yankee fans go crazy.
Yeah, this is where one of those nights where you kind of wish you didn't have Twitter, right? Because it just makes things so much worse.
Much worse.
It feels like afterwards, it was probably one of those rain delay. We're sitting here for an hour. Dodgers series coming up that everyone's amped up for. Let's just give them the night off.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just take him out. Let him go home early if they did, or if the forearm soreness is the thing he's been going through. Let's get him some treatment now and end his night when he normally would end his night, instead of making him wait through the delay, get ramped up again, come back out. You never see it with a starting pitcher. They would never do that for. So you gotta hope it's that.
The thing that made me feel better about it was that Boone had said that the soreness has been bothering him for about a week, but then I saw a video of Soto, Judge, and Grisham in the outfield, and he was like waving his arms and doing things for the fans, and I was watching his left arm, and I was like, well, I mean, if it's hurting him too bad, then he wouldn't be able to be doing all this stuff. So I felt a little bit better after Boone's comments. So they took him out. He's feeling soreness in his left forearm. It's been about a week. He was feeling something tonight, nothing out of the ordinary, just the soreness that he's been feeling for the past week. Boone said he's going for imaging tomorrow. Dr. Ahmad examined him in the clubhouse. But then there was also this report that Dominguez got pulled from the Scranton game early, so people were freaking out about that. And here's what I'll tell you about that. He was pulled from the game in Scranton, had nothing to do with Soto. It was pre-planned. He gets pulled after 4 at-bats or 7 innings, whichever one comes first. So he wasn't pulled to replace Soto. It wasn't, and it wouldn't have happened that quickly anyway. So,
but it is weird, the timing, though, right? Because it happened he got pulled like 10 minutes after the Soto injuries. The timing was peculiar.
The Yankees fan base is the worst fan base for stuff like that to happen to, because they become like tinfoil hat conspiracy theorists. And it's just like, no, you all have to, everyone needs to calm down.
Well, I mean, it is logical, though, right? Because that does make sense. If they thought Soto's injury was serious, where it was, I mean, the first call that should be made is to Scranton and say, hey, out of the game now. That does make sense. I mean, so I do get where the theory comes from.
No, I don't think they would pull him from because there's enough time for him to get from Scranton to the city.
No, not to play. I'm saying pull him so he doesn't get hurt in the Scranton game.
Oh, well,
like just pull him because his next stop is the Bronx for tomorrow night. I don't think anything's wrong with it. I be honest with you, selfishly, I hope he can play in the Dodgers series.
I know,
that kind of bugs me. I want them. I also I want them at full tilt. I want them at full strength. I think that's what makes it more entertaining is if he's at full strength. Whereas if he's not, it kind of dampers it a little bit, not totally, but a little bit. Regardless, though, I left the press conference with Boone feeling a little more confident that, all right, it's a thing that he's going through, and, you know, maybe they just wanted to get some treatment going a little earlier, or they just wanted him to handle a little. They didn't want to ramp him back up that early. I mean, something felt a little more normal about it. I can say I've never thought of this personally, but this was the first time in my life that I have. I've never hoped Juan Soto had diarrhea more in my life. Ever. Because that could be a thing, too, that I'm sure happens in baseball, right? Guy's got a tummy ache, not feeling well, stuck in the bathroom, rain delay.
Do you not remember the Chan-Ho Park?
Yeah, exactly.
Interview with Mo cracking up in the background because he kept saying he had diarrhea, and he said it like 4 different times. So the beat Jabba was laughing, like they were all like, "What are you doing?" That is a classic moment. If you've never seen that, look it up on YouTube. It is there, among other things that are on YouTube. Okay, quickly, because we have to get to Fanmail Friday. Strowman, not as great a start, but with the Yankees offense and with the way they beat up on opposing pitchers and with the way that they beat up on the Twins, it's okay that it wasn't a great start because the offense scored 7 runs off Pablo Lopez in 4 innings.
Well, that's the benefit to having a great offense like this, right? They make you work, and it was obvious the whole game. Pablo did not want to throw a single strike to any Yankee hitter. Right, he was dancing all over the strike zone the entire game. It created walks. He had the most walks in his career in a game, 6 walks, which is for a guy with impeccable control like Lopez has. I mean, you never see him have 6 walks. And then Volpe too, I think needs to be mentioned too. I mean, he was electric tonight on
unbelievable. The you know, on the bases,
in the field
defensively, too. He's becoming the exact type of player that I said I wanted him to be in the beginning of the season. I was like, I just want him to get on base, make things happen, and he's doing that.
100%. And it's funny too, because this was mentioned at the end of the broadcast, and it's actually, bared true. He's become a better fielder, and he won the Gold Glove last year, and he's a better fielder this year. So really take that into account when you think about what Anthony Volpe's become as a player.
Yep. Okay. Here we go. Fanmail Friday. Starting off with our tried and true insider, Betty. This question I thought was interesting. I don't know if we can answer it. And this refers to the previous start by Strowman, not the one on Thursday night. Oops. Let's try that again. Friday question. In Strowman's last outing, I noticed Wells setting up way outside on many, many pitches. Made me kind of scared. What is the reason? Why does it work for him?
Sometimes it's the way, Strowman also sets up on the edge of the mound, if you realize, too. He's not like a center mound guy, so he is on the edge of the mound, so it might just create a better angle for him. Right. Also, a lot of times it's used to trick the hitters. If a catcher is concerned that guys are trying to steal signs, they'll line up in a different spot and try and move on the side. So you really don't know. It's really not. It could have been a game plan they had against the team he was pitching against, too. There really is no definitive answer for it.
Yep. Next question. This is a fun one, and I had to Google it because I could have sworn I saw an answer to this, and I didn't find it, but here it is. From Bruce, an insider. Curiosity, why do some ballparks have the home team dugout on the third base side?
I know there's reasons for why some teams are on certain sides, but I don't think there's a specific rule. Is there?
No. Teams can choose where they want their dugouts to be, but I remember reading years ago, and someone tell me if I'm crazy, but I could have sworn that it was west of the Mississippi. the home dugout was on the left side, and on the east side of, or the east, to the east of the Mississippi River.
Yeah.
You would be on the right side. And I was like, oh, but the Nationals, when they first started playing at RFK, they were in the left side because it was a bigger dugout. And then when they built the new stadium, they went to the other side. So it's really about a team's choice.
There are classic reasons of why teams chose to be at certain angles, certain sides.
Yeah, there's like a sun thing.
There's no specific rule, though. Yeah. Well, yeah, I know that's why a lot of football teams do that. Like I know the Miami Dolphins, and when they renovated their stadium, they put their sideline on the far side because that's the part that gets the most shade during 1 o'clock. Just like that's why the Miami Dolphins always wear white at home because it's super hot. So they make the team that wear in the darker color. So there are strategic things that go into that, but I don't know if baseball's the same way because they have prime air conditioning, heating, and all these clubhouses. So I doubt it.
Right. Okay, let's do one more. We have time because I was looking at the clock and then I realized, oh, right, I was babbling for 2 minutes before I pressed record. So here we go. From Insider Ruben. For Fanmail Friday, there's no doubt Matt Blake deserves all the love he gets, but how about James Rowson and the other hitting coaches too? For example, Volpe is now laying off the high pitches or hitting them the other way. Volpe deserves a ton of credit, but I'm sure the hitting coaches helped at least a little.
I think it has a lot to do with the work that he put in the offseason, right? Like a lot of these guys do private work. They have their own private coaches. They look at a lot of tape. I think it's very valuable that when you get a year's worth of tape where he struggled, you can now address things that he struggled with. I mean, he's a really good baseball player. It showed in his first year, it showed a lot, but it really shown now this year. I don't know if the hitting coaches have done that much with him. I mean, I'm sure they have done their rest of the regular stuff, but to me, Matt Blake deserves way more of the credit because it seems like most pitchers that come here become instantly better once they get in touch with Matt Blake.
Luke Weaver.
Yeah.
We talked about Luke Weaver on yesterday's show, and there he was doing it again on Thursday night. Okay. Before we get to segment 2, where we will be answering a lot, you guys did really well with the questions, by the way, insiders and YouTube. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our videos, hit the notifications so you know when our videos go up. And if you would like to be part of the next Fan Mail Friday, reply to the pinned comment on our videos Monday through Thursday on YouTube, or you can join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. The link is in the description, and it's not only for Fan Mail Friday. You get texts from us. You can text us questions. We'll give you injury updates, roster moves, and more. There's a 14-day free trial. It's a lot of fun. Coming up next, more Fan Mail Friday. Locked On Yankees is brought to you by Policy Genius. Policy Genius is the country's leading online insurance marketplace. It saves you time and money so you can provide your family with a financial safety net starting today. With Policy Genius, you can find life insurance policies that start at just $292 per year for $1 million of coverage. Some options offer same-day approval and avoid unnecessary medical exams. Life can be unpredictable, and Policy Genius can take away the worries of what your family would do if something happened. Policy Genius gives you unbiased advice from a licensed expert support team. They have no incentive to recommend one insurer over the other, so you can trust their guidance. Thousands of 5-star reviews on Google and Trustpilot from customers who found the best fits for their needs will make you want to use Policy Genius. So check life insurance off your to-do list in no time with Policy Genius. Head to policygenius.com/lockedonmlb and click the link in the description to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you can save. That's policygenius.com/lockedonmlb. Welcome back to Locked On Yankees. Make sure you watch Locked On Sports Today. It's a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest sports stories of the day. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news. Streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV Channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And you can catch the hometown Yankees broadcast on SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Yankees. So this is an interesting question, and I was actually kind of happy to get it because I have an interesting answer, and I wonder if you're going to go in the same direction as me. But this is from insider Danny Wagner. Thank you both for all the hard work you put in to make this show one of the best I watch. Thank you, Danny. If you were told you had to cover another team other than the Yankees, who would it be and why?
I have an interesting one, but I visited the stadium a few years ago and just absolutely loved everything about it and the city it's in and everything. The Milwaukee Brewers. Like if I had to live in that city and everything like that, I would absolutely live in Milwaukee. I would absolutely love to see that stadium every day. I love that ballpark. It's a little bit of an unconventional answer. I don't think anyone would think that I'd say that, but that's definitely mine.
Mine's the Mets, just for the train wreck. Plus, I live in New York, and I don't want to go anywhere far away.
There are a lot of storylines the Mets do create. You could say that. The Mets, they don't win a lot, but they create storylines. They don't have a problem creating headlines.
Yeah, that could be, in a way, a fun team to...
Oh, yeah. There's always news. There's always news.
Yeah.
Let's go to what David F. had to say.
Yeah.
There seems to be a dramatic difference between the pitching staff, bullpen, and starters. The Yankees had injuries last year, of course. However, even Schmidt looks like an all-star. They only added a new stats guy and Strowman. What's different? Well, I mean, Marcus Stroman's a huge addition. Just a veteran presence in the clubhouse. And honestly, the vibe, right? The vibe in the locker room. Juan Soto helped create that. Verdugo helped create that. There's a lot of differences. It doesn't necessarily have to show just on direct hires that they bring in to make the team better. It can show a lot in guys that you bring in, the vibe in the clubhouse, the mood around the team. I think that has a lot to do with it. A lot of these guys are pitching with a lot more swagger and confidence now than they had last year. I think that has a lot to do with it, especially when it comes to pitching.
Yep, I agree with that. I'm disappointed that Schmidt has the injury because I really love his bromance with Marcus Stroman. It's the funniest thing ever. Yeah, they do like model pictures with each other when they're going on the plane on trips. It's so funny. And I like that the new guys have been embraced like this. Like, it's not just Soto. It is Verdugo. It is Strowman. Even Luke Weaver. And, Holmes seems to be pitching with a little more of a swagger now. Also, it's just, there's a totally
attitude.
different vibe.
There's an attitude that they didn't have the last couple of years.
Yeah. Next question. I love this. From Snerd Turgeson. First, well, he has two questions. First, do you think Volpe is being kind of lost in the amazing play of Judge, Soto, and Heel? Judge and Soto are 1-2 and F4, but Volpe is 8 in the entire league, not just the AL. Second question. If Cole is Cole and Heel continues pitching this phenomenally great, who do you give the ball to in the first game of the playoffs? Cole.
Well, I think Volpe is being overlooked. Easily.
Oh yeah.
Just because of the way. Now I don't know if he makes the All-Star game, just because there's so many other good candidates. But Volpe's had a much bigger improvement this year than any other player, right? Even than Judge and Soto, because they were already superstars coming in.
And even Stanton. And
Volpe's had a crazy improvement on the year, and he's been really good. But is he going to make the All-Star team over Bobby Witt Jr.? That's I don't know. Bobby Witt Jr. is a legitimate MVP candidate right now. So I think Volpe definitely has been overlooked, and also Cole. I love the way Heel's pitched, but it's Cole. Yeah. To be honest with you, I don't even think Heel pitches game 2. I think Heel pitches game 3.
Right.
I think it's Rodon that pitches game 2.
Yeah, I would think that too.
I think you pay him too much money, and I think there's too much value in Rodon being a lefty to switch that up and go Cole righty lefty.
Okay. I will read this question because I will see what you say about it. Will you be bringing back bold predictions this season? Always enjoyed that segment. I think Brian would have some good ones since he's a Yankee fan. Okay, so we did bold predictions last year. I kicked Steve's butt.
Okay.
And it was actually a lot of fun. We did it every week, and he kept tally of it. He had a whole graphic for it. It was really it was actually really funny. So if you wanted to do a bold predictions, not a whole segment, but a bold predictions part of the show, I could be
down for that. Absolutely. Okay. I'm full of bold predictions.
I think it'd be fun. Yeah. Not that Steve was terrible at them, but we tried to make them outlandish, because I was a little conservative with mine at first, and then I got a little better at it, and then I kept winning, and it was kind of funny. So yeah, my prediction was Rodon winning 17 games this season.
You could hit that one.
Yeah, because
that's got a lot of potential.
Yeah, because where is he already? At 6? What's he up to? Something like that. So
7. Yeah. My bold prediction so far is Juan Soto wins the Silver Slugger Award. I don't know if that's that's bold or not, but I think he's going to win the Silver Slugger.
I think I also did a Stanton prediction, but yeah, my Rodon, I think I said 17 wins. So
he could get there easily.
Yeah. One more of this segment. Hold on. One more of this segment. EM7195.
Who is potential trade bait? People say Torres, but he's not doing good. Who would want him? I love him, but is Verdugo potential trade candidate? Need to make room for Dominguez eventually. None of these, I think, honestly. I don't think Torres is getting traded.
No.
I don't know if he resigns necessarily. I don't know if that's a guarantee, but I don't think they're moving him. No. He actually has heated up a lot.
He has.
Over the last month. And I got to be honest, the statement there, who would want him? Plenty of teams in baseball would want him. I think 25 of the 29 other teams would want him. People don't realize if you take Gleyber Torres' numbers and put them up against other second basemen in the league every year, he's one of the top 5 second basemen in all of baseball. He's consistent every year with his numbers. And I don't know why Yankee fans don't see that. But a lot of teams would line up. If they had the chance to re-sign him too, a lot of teams would line up for Gleyber Torres. And also who's playing instead of him. And Verdugo is not trade bait either. They traded for him, brought him in. He's got a lot to do with that attitude, that swagger they've brought in. And also unnoticed because his hitting's not like unbelievable, but Verdugo is one of the best outfielders in all of baseball. And they're not trading. They're not getting rid of that. Yeah.
Like he's an actual legit left fielder. Why would you want to get rid of that?
His F-WAR right now this year is plus 13, which is absurd. Plus 13. Do you know what the Yankees was last year in left field?
It was bad.
It was minus 13.
Yeah.
He's a literal full other spectrum of the number base. So not even you can't even compare what he's done for the left field position. Even if he was a much worse hitter, it'd be worth it because of how good he's been in the field.
Right. All right, coming up next, we have more questions because you guys did so well. And we might talk a little bit about the Dodgers series because it is kind of a big deal.
We're just over a month away from MLB's All-Star Game, and there's no better way to cash in on the action than Prize Picks. Add your favorite players from the diamond to your Prize Picks lineups all season long. Whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs, take your pick of more or less and add them to your Prize Picks lineup today. And now you can win up to 100 times your money with baseball-only lineups on Prize Picks. If you submit a winning lineup featuring 4 Demon Squares, you'll cash in big time on the biggest moments of the baseball season. Demon Squares are more difficult, but they win you more money. Prize Picks even offers injury insurance so that your lineups stay in even if one of your players gets injured. For baseball games, if you have a player who registers 2 plate appearances or less, Prize Picks will have your back and not count that as a loss. Testing my skills on Prize Picks this baseball season is the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $100 with just a few taps. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match of up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for a $100 first deposit match. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV Channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories today with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows that cover every league. Find Locked On Sports Today, now available on the free Fire TV Channels app. Stay some more questions, and then we'll get to the Dodgers series a little bit. James Connolly, 8520, asks, hey, Stacey and Brian, longtime fan of the show. Any concern that Cole may have a slow adjustment period once back in pinstripes? Blake Snell's terrible start to the season has been attributed to his limited spring training. Curious to hear your thoughts on this and if you see any similarities between Cole's ramp-up and Snell's. Thank you, and it's been a great season. I'm not concerned.
I'm not either, because they were doing it very carefully. He
did go through a spring training. He didn't go through it publicly in Florida with everyone watching.
Right. Yeah, the Snell thing is completely different. Did you see how Montgomery got knocked around the other day?
Yeah, and Snell is not, no offense to Blake Snell, but he's not Garrett Cole.
He's not Garrett Cole, right?
No.
Right. Yeah, no, it's not.
It's
not the same. Yeah, I feel like they're doing this right.
Yeah, they're taking their time.
Yeah.
Now let's acknowledge they've been given the luxury of starting the year off so hot where they don't need to rush him back, but still they're doing it the right way. It's their most important asset, and it's the right way to handle this.
I agree. Next one, Robert DeMarco, 7813. What's the expectation for this year with the hot start? I'd say it's AL pennant or bust.
I don't like putting those kind of expectations on a team because, I mean, yes, you want to win the AL pennant, sure, but you could run into a buzzsaw in the ALs. You know, if they run into a buzzsaw in the ALCS and they lose in 7 games, are you going to kill them for that? Like is the season a failure then? You know, I have a hard time setting the expectations for teams like this because, yes, I know as Yankee fans, we all sit there and think World Series or bust, and that's every single year's mantra, and I get that. But if you look at it from a realistic standpoint at some point, last year, the Texas Rangers got super hot, right? What happens this year if the Rangers get Scherzer back and he's dialed in, and they get DeGrom back and he's fresh with less innings on his arm and he's pitching unbelievable, and they start to click and Seager starts hitting everything out of the park like he did last year, right? And they meet up with them in the ALCS, and the Yankees, it goes 7 games, and DeGrom outduels Cole in one of the greatest playoff games we've ever seen. Is that year a failure then?
Right.
So it's hard for me to set those kind of expectations up for them. But yeah, I mean, they're set up to go win the World Series, and they should do that. Robbie Garns 7732 says, I'm not sure if you guys did the fan mail thing this past Friday. It's called Fanmail Friday, Robbie. If so, I must have missed that. So I'll repost this question from last week. Is it possible the other AL East teams are slightly overrated, with Tampa Bay getting off to a ridiculously good start last year and the Orioles overachieving? I think we may have underestimated how bad the Yankees really were last season. Perhaps the Yankees taking a step back artificially inflated the other team's records, thereby propelling 3 of them into the playoffs. What else have you got? Why else would they have gotten swept? Not trying to understate the task ahead, but at least we can feel better about our chances of going all the way.
Well, I said it at the beginning of last season. The Rays doing what they did was impressive, but the majority of the teams that they played were awful for that first month and week, but they did what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to beat bad teams, which is why they started off so hot. But then when things started getting tougher toward the second half of the season, they fell off a lot. And then on the flip side, the Orioles, who were people were like, oh, they're only going to win 83 games. And they win 100. And it's like, whoa, where did this come from? This is
they came out of nowhere.
A year early.
They came out of nowhere, and it's a year early for sure. But I think you're crazy if you think that this Orioles team isn't they weren't legit last year. They were not a flash in the pan. They're going to be around for a while. So I don't think last year was a surprising, whoa, where did this come from kind of thing. No, I think the Orioles are here to stay. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that they're here to stay. And to your question on the other teams, I think Toronto was what Toronto is last year. I think Toronto will pick it up at some point this year and they'll win some more games. But this year, this has been their bad year this year, right? I don't think that last year was any kind of fluke. I think the Yankees are just a bad team last year. I think they got hurt by injuries, right? The Aaron Judge injury certainly didn't help. They didn't have that middle force in their lineup like they have with Soto now. Stanton had an awful year. There were a lot of factors that didn't work out. Their pitching staff was not as deep. Their bullpen was not as deep.
Rizzo had a concussion that he never got checked out.
Yeah, there were a lot of factors last year that didn't get checked out that, you look back upon. I don't think it was the AL East being overrated last year. I think the Yankees genuinely had a bad year, which happens. But I think that's what happened last year.
That's it. Because you said bad team. It was a bad year. There were so many bad things happening at the same time. There was no way that team was going to be able to overcome.
Yeah, I think too, at the clubhouse, there was not a lot of good chemistry in that clubhouse last year. I don't think Josh Donaldson helped. And honestly, I've been open about not being the biggest Boone fan in the world. I think good managers fix that. I think good managers find a way to get around that. And I don't think Boone helped that last year.
Well, thank you for all the questions, everyone. I didn't get all of them because there were a couple of questions I wasn't sure how to answer. And I was like, maybe. And there were so many that we couldn't really fit them in the show. So keep asking them and we'll get you on eventually. I don't have the pitching matchups written here, but
Yamamoto versus Poteet. Right. Then they get Gavin Stone, who's been a rookie that just came up. He's been really good for them against Cortez on Saturday. And then they get Glasnow versus Heel, which is
that's what I was going to say. Sunday Night Baseball, Glasnow against Heel. Ooh. Oh my goodness! That's the one. Of course,
I can't wait to come on after that game.
Yeah, of course you want to see Yamamoto just because of everything that happened in the offseason. But that was when I saw that matchup, I was like, oh my God. ESPN must be freaking out.
Foaming at the mouth.
Yeah.
I can't wait to watch that game. And that's going to be one of those games too. We're on after that game. So maybe a little live show for you guys right after reaction to that great pitching matchup. We'll see. But no guarantees yet. But this series overall is, I think all of baseball has looked forward to it, right? Yeah. All of Major League Baseball, the whole league. So you're going into really one of the better matchup series, and you're going to hear it a bunch of times over the weekend, but it does remain true. This very well could be a World Series preview. Very well could be.
Yeah. God, that would be something because my first memories
baseball's dying for it.
Yankees, Dodgers. So,
I mean, Manfred would find a way to screw that up, right? Like he'd start like game 1 at like 4:00 in the afternoon. Like he'd find a way to screw that up. But overall, like I think baseball's dying for a Dodgers Yankees World Series with how good these two teams have been over the last 5 seasons. That there's baseball's dying for it.
So, what was I going to say? Oh, right. I was raised to not like the Dodgers, the Royals, and the Red Sox. I was never raised to not like the Mets, because when I was growing up, like I couldn't stand George Brett, I couldn't stand people like that. So Yankees Dodgers would be amazing. So coming up next week on the show, we'll be recapping the Dodgers series. And speaking of Kansas City, the Yankees are going there, and Kansas City is good this year.
Really good.
They're really good. So that series is a 4-gamer out in KC. 3 8-10 starts, 1 2-10 start, because it's a getaway day, and then the Yankees go to Fenway next weekend. So it's going to be a very these next few series are a test for the Yankees, because
I don't know if there'll be a lot of runs scored.
Right, you have the Dodgers, obviously, then Kansas City, who's doing really well, and Boston, who's not doing as bad as everyone thought they were going to do. And with their pitching, it'll be interesting to see how the Yankees do against them. All right, one more time. A lot of good pitching they're going to see. Yeah, one more time before we end the week. Don't forget, join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. There's a link in the description, 14-day free trial. You get text from us. You can text us questions for Fanmail Friday, or you can just say hi. That's fine. If you don't want to join the Insiders Club, you can leave your questions under the pinned comment on our videos on YouTube Monday through Thursday. And for the final time this week, you can catch the Yankees hometown broadcast on SiriusXM by downloading the SXM app and searching the word Yankees. So that's going to do it for this edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. We'll see you after the Dodgers series.